in the case of will they, won't they, this week was an absolute nail biter. 4 different people were asked, should we stream? Will we stream? What will we stream? If we stream regardless. But the answer ultimately was yes. We are not going to deny Wednesday champ its time to shine, even if the weather will deny the drivers any opportunity for the sun to shine today. Hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Jesse Lee, joined by Ted Edwards on the comms with Ash Bibby behind the cameras here today. An abbreviated field. We had 17 1 week ago, down to 12 here today. One of those drivers that were in the race last week with me on commentary duty today. What actually happened? Quite humorous, all things considered. I was non-committal about streaming the race today, left it in my broadcaster's hand. My broadcaster decided to leave it in Ted Edwards' hand. Ted Edwards put the responsibility on Cormac. Cormac gave it to Crashneck, or Kevin Boss as we know him around here. Kevin Boss said, yeah, sure, do it. Kevin Boss, my point being, ultimately decided we were streaming today. Ted, why are you here?
I thought I'd put away the race car and come and join you in the box. I was not really enjoying myself in the Porsche, if I'm honest, but I'm still a part of this series, if you like, so there's that.
Well, I certainly appreciate you all being here today and being a part of this broadcast in one way or another. We've all the names mentioned just a moment ago by myself have played some role in bringing you this race here today. We hope that you have enjoyed continued coverage of Wednesday. As strange as it's been up to this point, it's going to be even stranger today. I can guarantee you that. I've got a sore throat. I will likely not be screaming at all today. Ted's going to help me out with that, and Ash is going to make fun of me behind the cameras, as he should do. But here is the man in question, the Wheelie Slow 31, the man who decided on our streaming here today. And it's going to be one of those days. Those are some sad tires on the race car, and he's also got one riding on the roof of the car as well. The saddest tires in the game, and certainly they will be hot and overpressured here in these conditions. Now, down to it, Circuit of the Americas, just outside of Austin, Texas. When I say just outside, I genuinely mean that. It is just outside the city itself, the capital of Texas. Keep Austin weird is the official slogan there. This place is hosted a lot of different events over the years, and I say events because they've not all been races, but obviously Formula One, NASCAR's been here, of course, the GT World Challenge America Series here. I think V8 Supercars came here one year as well. Also, interestingly, the X Games was here for several years. A lot of different things going on at the facility. It's also got a concert facility in the infield as well, Ted.
Does it? Oh, that's. I wonder if it's modelled in ACC, because, like many things, the part of the roller coaster that's still at Nürburgring is modelled in. We've got the drainage system at Kyle Army that's modelled in, and you can actually see the rain go down it. So it'd be pretty cool to see. And there's also like a water park in on one of the tracks as well on the outside. And I think Zolder has the go-kart track in between the circuit, in the middle of the circuit as well. So I wonder if that is modelled on this circuit. But it's crazy what the Kunos do with this game and what they've modelled in, which they didn't need to, and it still runs pretty fine as well.
What's crazy is my first ever experience. This is we're going down old man memory lane with Jesse Lee, so it's story time with Jesse Lee real quick. My first introduction to this racetrack in a sim was in the original R Factor game, which was right at the end of its expected life, I would say, right when COTA was coming around. And it was obviously a mod track, and because it had this concert venue and it was a big thing, if you lived in America, you heard about, like, oh, there's a big concert facility, and like I think Dead Mouse came and played a show. at the time. And because of that, the people that made the original R Factor mod had a laser light show going on in the infield during night races here. Very off putting. It was way too bright, very distracting. And I think they eventually toned that down. But that was my first experience. Very strange indeed. No such thing going on here at the racetrack today, as it's just about noon. And this is what we've got for qualifying the 12 cars on the track. Kalmari in the 765 with the quickest time thus far. And that's really interesting for that team. Usually Azir's the one that does the qualifying duties for that car. And usually I would argue is the faster of the two. But today, not the case. Still a really quick car, that 765 McLaren 24.362. The quickest. I will say Dauber was just about as quick as anybody in practice, but is the better part of a quarter of a second off of that ultimate pace. Eli Poe in the number 69 is 1.3 down. No contention among the top drivers. In fact, you got to get back here before it gets somewhat close. João Manso just inside the top 5. Tom Shipston on provisional pole in that silver class. Richard Whittle from the Whittle Wizards team. Still haven't made a mistake with that pronunciation. Still haven't been canceled for mispronouncing that name. I'll take it. You got Tom Watts, the Full Tank Racing 42 car. Kevin Boss just right behind them for third place, trying to find a little bit of pace there. In a little bit more pace, I should say. Romaniak, Kyoto, Varga, and Redford. Varga and Redford have not set a lap time thus far into qualifying with 5 minutes left to go. And that's another improvement, and it's a big one. It's a 23.367 for Kalmari for Silvaloo.
Yeah, you can just see the difference in the times at the minute. And me saying about not enjoying the Porsche, same with Jordan Daly, we both decided that rather than not enjoying a car, we'll probably just not do it at all, which is unfortunate because it used to be one of the strongest cars that we had before the Alpine decided that it wanted to be the strongest. That's why it was taken out / banned for this championship, because it's just good. It's a good all-round car and just beats everything no matter what track you're at. But the McLarens and Mercedes, are doing all right for most of the Pro Field, and the Camaros are only in the silvers, and they're doing pretty decent as well. But you just look at the Porsches. Redford's not set a lap time. I'm guessing he's invalidating lap somewhere. And the 957 from Whittle is struggling in being in Pro behind the silvers, is just struggling. And we found it out at the last round where our tyres were just getting really, really hot. And then we just didn't have any brakes, and may have seen me go off the track a little bit and just missing some cars just because my brakes just stopped working because my right side got so hot. And it was just really weird to think that the Porsche isn't one of the cars that is strong anymore. We thought it was the second strongest / second OPS car behind the Alpine, and that's changed our minds. It's the Mercedes and the McLarens that are the next best cars as an all-rounder for a championship. And it's very weird to think, Jesse, that a car can change after a tire update. And I think that's the thing. A tire update is not screwed the car, but for a championship, it's not being too good. For like a one-off race or something, it isn't that bad, because you're only using it for that one race and you can nail the setup down. Whereas if you're doing a championship, you've got to adjust every week to the different track conditions, the temps, and what's happening. But it's just weird to think a car that was so good has just dropped off.
Matthew Malcolm saying that I'm not old for remembering RF1. I'll take it. I'll take anything I can get at this point. But that's a very true statement, and you don't know unless you actually drive it for yourself. I mean, look, Mike Redford set a time in the Porsche. Richard Whittle's done the very same. Those both pro cars, and none of them inside the top 5. Of course, today's race a little bit different than usual. I would say considerable rain. Not uncommon for Austin. It's not like I know a lot of people, when they think of Texas, they tend to think of like a dry, arid place. Austin, not quite so much. They get considerable rain throughout the year, and it's not uncommon to see this racetrack look like this. And today, very much hitting on all cylinders there. Just about a minute 45 left to go in qualifying. The mark to beat a 23.367 by Solvalu's Kalmari. Nobody even close, quite frankly. Joe Dauber, the closest, nearly 1.3 seconds off of that pace. Shipston has gone P3. Eli Poe still in fourth. Now Tom Watts in fifth. João Manso goes third quickest with a 25.717. The Chevrolets on home turf here, kind of looking really good, though they've looked good all season long in that silver class.
Yeah, it's they're pretty good cars. I've enjoyed driving the Camaros. I think I've drove all the GT4 cars, and they're all pretty fun in their own different ways. But yeah, the Camaro is just it gives that supercharge of whine, and that's what I really like about it. And it does seem a pretty good car, especially for like an endurance race, where it's really good on straights and it's not too bad in the corners. And then obviously you got the McLaren, which is pretty good all round, and the Mercedes. But the Silvers they're holding their own up there. Shipston in third, first in the silver class, and there's Watts and Manso, they're in the pits. Poe is in the pits for the 69 Pro class. Redford, the number 19 Porsche is in the pits as well. So we've got Dolbert going around at the minute. He's up on his time by, I'm hoping that's not a glitch on our system. He was up quite a bit. Let's see what he comes across the line. I think that was a glitch on our system because it just says it 23.5. Oh, I think he invalidated his lap, Jesse. He was high on his lap. He was only 4/10 behind Calamari, who's just gone faster with 23.145. So that's a big shame for Dolba. I think he might be on a lap still. Yeah, he is. This is his last time. The only car left to do a lap. Shipston invalidated. So it's done his pit entry, as there is a pit stop in this race. So we just have to keep an eye on Dolby. He can go a lot faster. He improved by 1.3 seconds on his previous best lap, which was a 2 minute 24.650. So if he holds it and doesn't invalidate, then he'll be fine. But I think once he invalidates, it will go to the grid. So we'll know straight away.
We sure were. There's a weird vibe on this stream here tonight. If you're wondering, if you just tuned in and you're used to RCI TV, you're used to a lot of shouting, some yelling, etc., and so forth. None of that is happening out of us. Ash is doing it behind the cameras. I can assure you of that. But we're not doing that, and I can only assume Ted's trying to match my tone for the broadcast. But I'm not doing it, obviously, because I'm trying not to aggravate my throat. But different vibe. It's just it feels cozy. It's nice and cozy in here. It's midweek. You know what I mean? It's quite cold a lot of places. Quite cold where I am here today in the States. So dealing with that, it's just got that cozy feel. So no ASMR, but beyond that. A smaller field of cars as well, all of that kind of compacting here today, and we're all watching one driver, Rebound Racing's Joe Dauber, make an extra lap because he got to the line right at the time. A huge slide there. That will do no favors to the lap time, but probably more crucially kept it in the bounds of the track, and he hasn't abandoned it, which leads me to believe he's up, and maybe by quite some time. He gained about 2/10 there, and he did improve by that margin, but still 1.3. That is going to put Team Solvalu as your pole sitters here today, with Kalmari doing the qualifying, outright owning the quickest sector in every single sector. And, well, hard to argue with that. Quickest everywhere, and 1.3. Go ahead and call it 1.4. It's near enough. clear of the field. Kalmari, Joe Dauber will be your front row. Tom Shipston, the quickest in the silver class. Eli Poe, Tom Watts, second in silver, rounds out the top 5. Jal Manso took third in silver and 6 overall. Redford, Romaniak, Varga, fourth place in that class. Richard Withel in 10th. Boss in the 31 and 11th place. And Facuto in the number 20 is your final qualifier in 12th. I just want to point out, chat's brought up Toka Race Driver in Toka 2 with the garage sheet. Man, that is nostalgia. At its finest. Had Tiff Nadell as the commentator on those games. PS1 actually had pre-race commentary, championship commentary too, if you played that mode. Incredible games, incredible stuff. Just happy Codemasters is still around, to be fair. Horrible news to hear that there were layoffs this close to Christmas. Absolutely insane. Back on topic, though, we have some championship standings for you. This is how it shook down after 4 of 6 championship rounds. Porcelain Racing has a bit of a lead in the 229. They've got 122 points to their name. Racing Team Silvaloo right behind them. They're on pole today, so they will be a little bit closer. 98 points for them. Luna Rossa Racing on 97. Luna Rossa looked like they were cruising to a win 1 week ago, and it just wasn't to be. G League Esports on 80 points. 699 Racing in 5th place on 78. NS Racing on 60. Rebound Racing with 50. Whittles Wizards with 48 points. Rebound Racing 777 on 34 points. And everybody else in the pro class has retired from the championship. In the silver class, it is a battle of the Chevrolets and one Audi team in the thick of it still. Ground Zero Racing, the number 60, the Hot Wheels liveried car. It's not really Hot Wheels, but that's what it looks like to me. It looks fantastic, in my opinion. Ground Zero's car, 117 points, 1 point behind them. The Portuguese team of RPMS Simsport, just the 1 point difference there, first to second. You love to see it. Wheelie Slow Racing team, number 31 with 98 points in front of Drop in the Hammer Racing in the 42 with 90. 5th place, Squadra Corsa Giulia with 72. That's your top 5. Team Monkey Racing on 69 points. And as nice as that is, McFly RPMS Simsport has 41. And as you've guessed, everyone else with a dash has retired from the championship. I am still reading chat about the vintage game conversation, and I would normally do my Murray Walker impression about the F1 97, 98 era of video games, but I can't do that without shouting, and I just can't do that today. But it's Tarquini is, Untailed Frenzy, all that stuff. It's just absolutely legendary stuff. Ted, we got 12 cars on the grid. We've got rain. It's probably going to rain throughout. It's a moderate, significant rain. A pit stop required in this. 80 minutes, longer than normal. Some teams, of course, will be taking a pit stop. I've just noticed, I believe GOAT has been installed into the Silvaloo car. And that kind of goes to my question to you. Kalmari did an excellent job qualifying. I was wondering if Kalmari would start the race. That isn't the case. GOAT's going to be in there. At least that's what it looks like now. What's the strategy for this? It's a short field, but you've got to be a bit greedy on this start, you'd reckon, because you might only get 1 or 2 shots because of the abbreviated field.
Well, you gotta. Main thing is on the formation, like, make sure you try and get those tires up to temperature, which shouldn't be too hard with the wets. They're pretty easy, even for the GT4s that don't have the tire blankets. But yeah, you got to somewhat be greedy, but you also got to be careful. Obviously, going into turn 1 is a tight left-hander. It comes back on yourself. So it's a wide track at the top end, but it does start getting thin again as you come down towards the S's after that. But you just got to be careful with everyone else around you. Obviously, it's where we've seen people sliding. We saw Dolber. He was struggling there. He he lost so many tenths throughout the different corners in this final sector. That's why he lost so much time. And he was gaining it back again out the corner, but because he was sliding because of the rain, because it's slippy, he just lost it. So sliding can become an issue with some of the cars. So they just got to be careful, but still be aggressive, trying to get a position. But maybe the strat could be just to chill out on the first few laps and see what happens, and then see how people are reacting with their cars. And if you are reacting better with yours, then you can try and go for a move on them. If they start to go wide or deep into or out of a corner, then that's what you could do. But yeah, a pit stop um, here with the 10-minute pit window is going to be interesting. Obviously, first-hand experience with doing it this season is it's 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 a weird one. 80 minutes. You only got 10-minute pit window. So that's from 35 minutes left to 45 minutes left. Isn't such a big pit window to do, but on wet tyres you can last quite a while compared to the dried tyres, so it shouldn't be too bad. Only 1 litre of fuel required, and obviously if you are a two-man team, then you have to do the driver swap, and if you're solo, then it does not apply to you. But tyre change is required, but it's not the worst thing. It's pretty easy pit stop, and like I say, with the wet tyres, it's not going to be too bad with tyre wear.
Not the sentiment I expected from chat today, especially from the drivers, considering the weather conditions and the track selection. COTA is a hit or miss track with racing drivers. Some quite enjoy it, some abhor the racetrack itself. But me personally, I think it's one of the better Tilka circuits. And I think some of the complexity of it baffles drivers, and they don't like it for that reason. And it is a bit of a strange one, but as far as Tilka circuits go, I think it's certainly one of the better ones. But the chat is the only ones that matter, and realistically, and the drivers will definitely tell you how they feel about it. And Dinak, very obviously, very pleased by that. Absolutely no reason for them to not be pleased by their qualifying effort. Pat on the back certainly there. But Mike Redford, Mike Redford, excuse me, pretty happy with his qualifying as well, all things considered. In 7th place, says he didn't know the track, and especially in the conditions. I didn't expect that, but Redford pretty happy with that. He's 4th in class, he's 7th overall, but more importantly for him, of course, is he's 4th in class. So all things considered, no real complaints from the drivers post qualifying. And I don't ever expect complaints, but I expected a lot of frustration with the weather. Got none of that here today, at least. Of the drivers that participated in letting us know how they feel. Well, folks, we are in the US of A, and there's some rootin' tootin' cowboys around the racetrack, and there's a couple of rootin' tootin' cowboys behind some of these wheels as well today. I had to fit that in there. That was a contractual obligation I had to do. I do apologize. Kevin Boss, who I believe has gotten out of the wheelie slow car after qualifying, yes. Dominicus is in the car, in fact. Boss saying that they had a couple more tenths in it, but that would have only put them a position up anyway. Well, it's how you finish the race, not how you start it. That is important. Kevin Boss, of course, the de facto decider of if we would stream today. He's streaming himself over on Twitch at Crashneck, all one word. And while he's doing that, he made the executive decision for us today. Quite fun, quite weird, these Wednesday streams, Ted.
Yeah, that's sure. You've been doing it for 3 rounds now on your own, and you've enjoyed it. But you said about sore throat, so I thought I'd come and help you tonight. And you on about me matching you with your tone, and we're not shouting. It's a very different from a Night Owl stream, which we do together. Which we're normally going off on one with shouting and a lot more talking, a lot more voice in it, but it's nice to just chill out. It's cold over here in the UK as well.
It's such a cozy stream right
It's
now.
yeah, I'm all
This is weird.
I'm all cuddled up, got my little blankie keeping my legs warm.
This is so weird. It's not bad. It's not bad weird. It's just odd.
It's different. We're not normally like
It's
this.
very different.
I feel like we do in the late hours of a 24-hour race stream. We're just chilling out.
This is exactly what the wee hours of the morning of a 24-hour race is like. It turns into if you're a bit old, you will remember late night radio programs. They don't shout on those programs, and that's kind of what this is like. We're doing a call-in show at 2 in the morning, Ted, is what's going on here.
It does feel like that, but I said I might get a little bit loud. We'd have to see what happens, see if anyone gets close to each other. We only got a few more corners until we do hit that green flag and everyone starts going up to turn 1, and I'm just waiting to see if there's going to be carnage and chaos, or is this going to be a nice clean T1. But I'm not a fan of this track, like you're saying. Other people might not be a fan. Yeah, I'm not. Even in the dry, it's not a track I would like to drive, which is weird because I like Brands Hatch, I like Oldham Park and stuff like that, and this being wider and being on the same sort of thing with the complexity and the turns, you would have thought I would have done. But yeah, it's a bit weird. But we're about to hit the green flag. It's just a few more meters. Takes a while.
You're in America. It's a few more yards now.
It's a few more. Yeah.
Azir Goat and Joe Dauber with Tom Shipston and Eli Poe. The first couple of rows. The green flag is away, and it's a pretty decent start. No major jumps, except Peter Dominicus has been able to get the jump, and so has Eli Poe. Poe's trying to take over second. Shipston's been touched a little bit by Zhao Manso as they fan out 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide, just briefly as they navigate turn number 1, that 5-story rise, and then drop off a cliff all of a sudden again. One car has been left in the background. That is Mike Redford. They qualified 7th, and they have been the unlucky recipient of the first major incident of the race. There was contact between Shipston and Manso. There was a lot of movement by Peter Dominicus, who has gained several spots. Started 11th, did that wheelie slow car, up to 8th for the time being. Redford now back into the race, but off of the back of the field. Everybody else able to get away, including Azir Goat for Team Sovalu. That was exactly what they needed to get themselves into the championship position, and it's a huge misjudgment from Eli Poe in the wet. Poe goes completely off the racetrack. Surely that's going to be a lap time invalidation and potentially even a track limits warning. That brings Joe Dauber back into P2 now. He didn't even have to fight for that. He's just forfeited that position, has Poe.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I spoiled the incident with Redford. I switched over to the camera I have on my other screen as Dauber almost goes wide as well. Poe almost hits the rear end of them. Redford just got a little bit of... We should see it in a minute if replay does work. Yeah, Redford just had a tap and he went. I think this is the replay, or this is turn 1 replay. A little bit of a nudge probably from Poe on Dauber. Oh, there goes a Camaro almost gone left.
It's Tom Shipston. I wonder, I know there were 3 wide in there, was Poe, Dauber, and Shipston, and I wonder if maybe, because Shipston was the unlucky driver on the inside, if maybe there was initial contact we couldn't see that was covered up by that, or not, because Shipston reacts to that by slowing up more, and I think that's how when Zhao got a piece of him. And I wonder if that was all related. I mean, it's definitely related in some way, but I wonder if it was all because Shipston occupied the inside, and I mean, no fault of his own, obviously, but just being the wrong place at the wrong time. You got to go for it here early in these races. Shipston's quite lucky that Zhao didn't turn him. That could have been absolutely disastrous to his race and his championship. That hasn't happened, and everybody has continued on. No idea what happened to Redford. They were 3 wide off this very corner, and Redford did go fully around, had to get this car spanned back round, and has now taken off. I assume that it was by himself. Now, it's super easy, especially at the start of these races in the wet here, to get on a curb and spin the car around.
Yeah, well, from what I saw, he had a little bit of a tap. Maybe it didn't pick up on our tool. Sometimes it doesn't pick up because it was, the little small taps don't pick up. So it's unfortunate. But yeah, he had a little bit of a tap, and then he span on his own. He just couldn't save the
Ooh,
car, and around
romantic.
he went.
You don't see that very often. Sorry to interrupt, Ted. You don't see
That's all
that
right.
very often. A car going over the inside. It's not even a baguette curb. It's more like a Dorito curb. Very fitting for America, to be fair. You don't see people hit that a lot, but Romaniuk did, and just about lost it. And he's going to get tapped here. It's a very,
Ooh.
very obvious choke point on this racetrack, and it's happened here again. Contact between Romaniuk and Tom Watts here. Oh, excuse me, that wasn't Tom Watts. That was João Manso who made that contact. Tom Watts is the one following here. Of course he is.
Well, John Razor is in chat. He says, "Good luck to all. Sadly, I can't race tonight. I have a shoulder injury." That's why he signed out of tonight's race. There was two others. Ross Cam signed out, unfortunately, and another driver as well. But it's not sure why the other two signed out, but it's could be COTA, could be wet, could be COTA and the wet, or just maybe they are busy with real life
Look
stuff.
at this.
But this
Tom Watts
is
up the inside of the final turn. He's going to get it done. Romaniuk looking to make the pass on Manso. Watts goes to P2. Manso trying to fight off Romaniuk. Romaniuk doesn't particularly care about this fight. Look at João for RPMS all the way down the inside. Space afforded to him by the 42. Oh, and it's huge contact, avoidable contact, you have to say, between Manso and Romaniuk. Romaniuk just goes in there and gets him, it looks like, and that is huge. That will drop Manso all the way back behind DeBont, and I think even
Dominicus.
Peter Dominicus, and it has done.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just going to it's this T1 comes in. Obviously, Camaro goes in turns. Oh, it just turns in a bit too much. So maybe it is on the Camaro. Not too sure. That will be a post-race submission from either of the cars from tonight's race. There is no live steward, unfortunately, but yeah, that was a bit crazy. Obviously, the 229.
Oh, look at Dominicus.
Defensive line, trying to go for the Beamer and trying to defend from the from Manso as well, and the Camaro. But
So
yeah, the 229 just floors it again after the contact, as if to say, well, that wasn't on me, that was on you. But yeah, it's one of those things. That corner is just, I don't know if it's just me. I'm not a fan of the track. It's nice. It's a nice track. I don't hate it. There is some tracks out there that I do not like, and I won't ever drive. But I will drive this. I just don't like it. It's not a fun experience for me. But it's got some good corners. It's different.
Yep, it sure is. And, you know, this is difficult situation for a lot of cars. That was near contact there as Dominicus continues to work on DeBont. This is not small peanuts for the silver class or the championship. Of course, Wheelie Slow, third place, looking to keep that together. Oh, my goodness, and it's a huge wiggle and a mistake from Dominicus, and that's going to allow João Manso through. Dominicus was looking for third, and he's going to go all the way back to fifth here as João gets back through. And all Dominicus can do is hold on. That was a huge twitch there by the Wheelie Slow Audi, and very uncharacteristic considering it looked very much under control earlier on in the lap. So it can bite you at any time, and that was kind of going to be my very next point. You know, if you're not familiar with the racetrack as much, if you're looking to lean a little bit on the setup, well, that's what a good setup can do for you. It can bail you out in certain instances. Today might be the one. And, you know, the only place you need to go for your setup needs is Go Setups. They offer a huge variety of setups, esports level setups, and safer alternatives for everyone and they can even help you out here at Circuit of the Americas in GT4s in the wet. They've got you covered, and I would hazard the guess several of the drivers in tonight's race are on Go setups. I think that kind of explains some of the quick times that we saw up near the front of this grid, and certainly helping out with the grip level here, you'd have to say. GoSetups.com.
Yeah, as 20 gets a drive through for track limits already not even 9 minutes into the race, 8.5 minutes into the race, and got a drive through the track limits. So it could be down to the setup, could be down to not knowing the track too well, because track limits out here are very, very unforgiving. I think you agree with me, Jesse. The slightest nudge of the fourth wheel on that white line, that's it. You've got a track limit, and obviously get 4 of them. That is a drive through for you, and unfortunately, the silver class to number 20 has got that. Redford's making his way back up. He's behind these 3 cars now, so should be able to get into 8th place pretty well. His pace seems on point, but these 3 are fighting, so just have to wait and see. But yeah, Go Setups, I recommended them on the Monday stream after winning the silver champ, which I did not expect, but they are really good. You got your esports and your safe setups plus the wet, and they just work. I don't know how they do it, Jesse. They just work.
Yeah, and I think part of the way that they work is that I can't speak for any other product, but they seem, I guess the word is more stable, more actually race viable, less hot lapper setups, more race setups, and I think a lot of the drivers that compete in a day-to-day basis, I think they really appreciate the drivability of that. I mean, Kevin Boss has just said that he's confirming that they are on a Go setup, Zhao Man, so there's been more contact. I certainly feel like that came from behind, but the question will be, was that DeBont or Redford that caused that? And Mike Redford spinning the tires in that Porsche, trying to sort that out amongst themselves.
Here we are hitting Redford. Oh, it's Redford. Oh, hitting the beam. It goes.
We've seen that so many times this season out of the Porsches.
I know.
You were just saying.
Yeah, I was saying about the 508 is coming around. That's DeBont in the M4 into the S's before the S's done round. But yeah, it's like I was saying, where we were with Valencia last round, and it was really hot. Like, heat is not a problem, but we just couldn't call the right side tires, and you use the right side a lot. And yeah, I just went for the normal braking point, well, even earlier than the normal braking point, and car just wouldn't stop, and I had to floor it again to go in between 2 cars so I didn't hit anyone. And it just looks like the same thing with Redford. He just couldn't stop the car. He could not slow down, and he had nowhere to go. Like, if he turned right, he would have took out the rear end of that BMW. He did probably the best thing he could have, and sideswiped the car, which then tabbed onto the Camaro, and that's less damage because these cars don't have much aero. But if you rear end someone quite hard, they are gonna feel it eventually with these cars. But it's yeah, pretty crazy that contact, and very unfortunate. And he obviously spinning the tires up and spinning around, facing the opposite way for a second time, and he almost does it again. That is pretty crazy how these Porsches just sometimes just don't work.
Highest Porsche still left in the championship is Richard Whittle, up in 7th place right now, and of course already had a little bit of damage, would Redford, potentially on the lap 1, maybe even if it's not damage to the bodywork, damage to the tires, you could imagine. And either way, certainly not handling the way that he would appreciate, certainly not predictable. I don't think anybody goes up into turn 1 and misses it quite like that without something going completely awry. Chat was immediately on it with the bowling references. Very clever.
And
he's doing it again. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Yeah, it must be it has to be the car.
Yeah,
I
we've seen it all season. I mean, you can say what you will about any particular driver's driving, but it is a common theme in this championship with those Porsches.
Yeah, and me and Daly didn't understand why it was happening. It, yeah, it's it's weird because it shouldn't happen like this, and it is a big shame because the Porsche is pretty fun to drive. It sounds nice, and it's got a nice interior, and a nice steering wheel. But it's just one of those. Whittle is obviously hanging on at the minute, in before my commentator's curse kicks in. But yeah, we only have these two Porsches left. I don't think there was any in the silver class, and me and Daly with the other two, and I think the other one has signed out as well, unfortunately. But yeah, just watching these other cars, they're not having a problem. None of them having problem under brakes. It's not that hot. You're on a wet track as well, so wet tires don't really get affected by the heat because you can just lower them. They don't heat up like crazily. It's only on a drying track they start to die and grain, and that's when you start slipping. But all these other cars look pretty fine.
Certainly do. Azure Goat for Solvalou out in front of the field enjoys a nearly 6-second gap on Joe Dauber. Chat's clued into a conversation that we tend to have every week about Solvalou, is that the second driver, Kalmari, is typically slower than Goat, and that's sort of obvious how the races have played out. But it was Dinek Kalmari who sat that car on pole position today, and I do wonder if they're just going to be untouchable today. Joe Dauber will be the first to figure that out, and we'll let you know whenever it occurs, if it does occur, because again, Dinek was the quickest qualifier here today. Well, DeBont has got the second drive-through penalty of the day. We've not even made it 20 minutes into this race, and we've already had a second drive-through issued. Fasciuto is in the pit lane now, serving their drive-through penalty. DeBont, who has just picked that up, will likely be in at some time soon. And no live stewarding today, folks. Of course, no live stewarding for this championship. It's all done post-race. So any penalty you see show up, that is certainly for track limits or a pit lane violation. But considering nobody's been down pit lane voluntarily, that is almost certainly a track limits violation.
Sure is, and the carry on. Oh.
I was just gonna say it's a weird stream. I was just going to say that we were watching Dominicus get by Richard Withel for 7th place. So that 31 did not qualify particularly well, but it is moving up through the field. It had that huge twitch earlier that didn't seem to phase Dominicus at all. And they are up into 7th place. That's 3rd place in class secure now. The question now becomes, could they be a threat to Tom Watts? Shout out to Tom Bryant, who has just re-upped their membership. They've been a member for 3 months, and they also work here, but that's not the point. The point is, thank you for being a continued member of RCI, and we appreciate it, Tom. I hope you've had a very enjoyable vacation, I suppose you'd call it. A nice trip, and your message, Poggies. You're being very poggers right now. Thank you for the membership.
Well, I was going to say, the number 20 had a few problems coming into pit lane. They had parked in between the track and the pit entry.
Oh, no.
They were yellow flagged for quite some time. Not sure what had happened, but did do the drive-through that they had to do. Here comes the 508 doing their drive-through as well. So I'm not too sure what happened with the 20. Because it wasn't anything to do with pit stop, like, oh, you know, got the pressures wrong or got the wrong tyre selected in the MFD. So obviously it was a drive-through penalty, not a stop and go or anything like that, and not doing a pit stop. So very, very odd. Maybe some hardware problems. Which, you know, if you have hardware problems, you can always go and get some new hardware. I think there is a place to go, isn't there, Jesse?
Yeah, there sure is. I mean, well, first and foremost, you can go to digitalmotorsport.com. All the top equipment from all the top brands in one place for you at Digital Motorsport. And whether you're looking to replace a rim or get a whole new sim rig, digitalmotorsport.com is the place to go. Check out their sim rig builder. Build the sim rig of your budget or your dreams. Digitalmotorsport.com, the place to go. And they've got an excellent selection of equipment from Fanatec. Go browse Fanatec's deals that they have right now on their website. They have launched a bunch of stuff this fall. And go check out everything they're offering over at Fanatec.com. Get you a deal while you can over at Fanatec.com. Well, in the chat, it's all kicking off again. Kevin Boss has re-upped his membership for another month as well. 2 months on the trot, confirmed, not a fluke, for Kevin Boss. Thank you so much, Boss, for your continued membership to RCI, not only on the racetrack, off the racetrack, all the help you do for us here in the broadcast team as well. Appreciate it. And on top of all of that, his message is Poggles. Very Poggles indeed. You know, I used to have some of them Poggles when I was a kid.
Those little discs.
Mm-hmm.
See, I never was introduced to those because they weren't around during my time. It was more like Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Pokemon cards. You got your Beyblades and marbles. We used to play with marbles until we got them banned at school because someone decided to throw one at someone and then they instantly got banned.
Yep, we had we almost, and I remember this was like 1997. I think it was 97 or 98. I don't know, my memory goes weird when you go back that far. My school district and many school districts in America almost banned Pokemon cards because it was too distracting.
Oh, we had a Beyblade tournament. We had a normal arena because obviously you could have those ones with the magnets underneath, and you could have like a little magnet in the bottom of the Beyblade, and it made it a bit more interesting. But we just had a normal plastic one, and teachers were cool about it. It was pretty fun. And then one of, I think it was my Beyblade, had a bit of metal in it, which came with it, and it made it a bit more heavy, a bit more stronger, and it hit this lighter one, and the lighter one decided to fly out the arena and hit someone in the head, and that instantly got shut down. So, very unfortunate. Didn't know they could turn into flying weapons, but Beyblades were just a different thing. I can't remember how I got hold of a Beyblade. It must have been a present or something, but you just don't really get anything like that nowadays. Or not what I've seen. It's toys and stuff has really changed over the years.
Back down memory lane with Jesse Lee, I had a friend whose parents wouldn't get him Beyblades because they were, quote, too dangerous. So me and a couple of other of our mutual friends at the time, we smuggled him in Beyblades so he could play Beyblades with us. That was heck of a time, you know. Most parents are worried about their kids doing drugs and stuff like that. We were smuggling Beyblades, of all things. We just wanted to let them rip. Eli Poe has let it rip one too many times here today. They are the third recipient of a drive-through penalty. Actually, technically, they're the fourth recipient of a drive-through penalty because the number 20 Chevrolet Fucuccio has got themselves a second drive-through penalty. So that makes Eli Poe the fourth recipient.
23 minutes, and that's 2 drive-through penalties from number 20. That's consistent, I guess. in a way. Oh, the 69 is brown. That's Poe in the S's, and they are
Oh
they
no,
are on a picnic. I think that's what they're doing. They're
that looks
enjoying
like
the
a
view.
retirement to me.
They're just chilling out. Unfortunately, but yeah, it's yeah. So uh, another reason why I don't like this track, Jesse, track limits. Um, I forgot which tracks are really bad for the track limit. I think Misano is one of them. That is pretty harsh on going over the white lines in places, and it yeah, it just goes to show COTA is probably pretty worse. And even with the wet weather, I remember Spa in this game ACC. When it rained, the track limits would widen a bit, which was pretty cool. I think they've toned that back now, so it goes back to the dry ones, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, it's one of those things where you just got to be careful of how you drive your car and don't overdrive it, and just try and not get those track limits.
Chat's making me laugh here. Worcel said that good thing you didn't continue smuggling your smuggling career, became a commentator instead. Yeah, I my kind of smuggling ended with actually, you know what? It didn't end with Beyblades. I've just realized we used to we're really going back into the into the young mind of a Jesse Lee with this one. But yeah, we also used to have a problem. We also had like a friend who wasn't allowed like pop, like soda, and we would bring him soda.
I had one of
I
them.
just remembered.
Yep.
Man, we
Yeah.
were bad kid. We were bad kids in like the most rascally way. I've just realized we we didn't do drugs or anything, but we definitely were like, which actually kind of scary because we didn't know, we didn't have the presence of mind to know if this kid had a medical condition. He didn't, by the way. His parents were just quite tight. I would reckon.
Oh.
So yeah, we'd give him like a can of Coke at like lunchtime and stuff because I mean we were allowed to have it. It's like it's kind of weird that he wasn't.
Well, a bit different for me. My friend had ADHD, so that's why he
Okay.
couldn't have it, and we still gave it to him because it's funny to see him bounce off the walls.
Okay,
So
okay, that lit up the box. Ash has also confirmed that that was the thing he did as a kid. That's quite funny. Boss, I don't know what line you're on about. I do apologize. I've completely forgot about that. Cormac Malloy has brought up silly bands. Cormac had silly bands as a child. We had them when I was a kid, a teenager, coming up as well, except that they were quite controversial in those days because the original silly bands, Cormac, and for anyone interested, they were metal in the middle, and if the rubber plastic bit would wear off and you could hurt yourself with the metal bit, it was national news. Parents
Yep.
were freaking out over the silly bands, and I remember my mom was quite cross because some of mine were the defective, bad, cheap ones, if you will.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that there's still a thing in schools over here.
Hmm.
And yeah, like the coating on the outside can come off, and it's not great, let's say.
I've just been compared to I'm the Robin Hood of smuggling. I'll take it. I'll absolutely take it. Hey, and you know what? If you need a Beyblade or a can of fizzy drink, I'm your guy. I'll bring it to your place of work. I'll put it in your fridge so your wife doesn't see it. You know what I mean? I'll do it. I haven't thought about that in years. You guys have awoken that in me. I guess in a weird way, that's why some parents were not fond of certain kids, right? Oh
You know,
man.
it does feel like we're doing an endurance race right now, Jesse. We have
It's a
gone way off
podcast. This is just a
topic.
podcast. Look, the drivers are doing their part. They're
They're just
driving the
chilling
race, by
out,
the way.
yeah.
The 69 has officially retired. It sat there for quite a long
Oh
time,
my God.
and it has retired. And that's pretty much the end of the championship for Luna Rossa Racing. They were definitely in the mix still up until that retirement, but they have retired, and that will promote Romaniuk, which is the championship leader, the Porcelain Racing car, up into third in that class. So that's a little bit better for them, but still, the ball is firmly in Racing Team Sovalu's court right now. They have the fastest lap. They've got pole position, and they're currently leading the race. This is going to be a championship defining day, perhaps, for Racing Team Sovalu. If they can get home tonight with this win, it's going to be quite close, providing Porcelain Racing doesn't get second at some point. That is going to make it a bit of a close one in the standings for the finale at Kyalami next week. And that's really all you can hope for in a championship like this. Gap is closing, though, Ted.
Sure is. I've just noticed the 20 has now got to stop and go 30. I am not sure why, because their last pit stop was lap 5, so that was 6, 7 laps ago. I thought if you didn't complete a drive-through, which I think they haven't, you got disqualified, but apparently it now changes into a stop and go 30. I'm a bit confused.
I don't know. I am unsure if that is the case, but something along those lines has happened. Excessive corner cutting could be a potential explanation for it. Yep, being told by Andrew in chat that they did not serve the second drive-through. Yeah, a lot of confusion going on. I didn't think this would be the race that would stump us, but it certainly has on this occasion. So, very interesting indeed.
I found it through our special software of replay stuff. They went wide on a corner exit, and it's Cormac is said they got another cut before serving the DT, so it just turns into a stop and go 30.
Right. So if you have a drive-through penalty for track cuts, and you continue to cut the track,
yep,
it automatically ups that penalty to the maximum stop and go 30, and that is an absolute shame, but that is the day.
I thought
number 20 has had.
I thought it just puts another drive-through in the bank for you, but no, it just says, well, you didn't serve your other one, so we're just going to make it the worst thing you can get. And
credit to Squadra Corsa, though. They're still in the race. They haven't given up. That is an excellent explanation. We do appreciate all the feedback, Cormac. Excellent detective work there as well. But yeah, that is a thing that it will do, and that does make a whole lot of sense. So it's very rare. I've only ever heard of that a couple of times. It's been years since the last time I've heard of something like that occurring.
I just normally crash before I get another DT, so
I'm usually muttering to myself, driving, trundling down pit lane before it ever gets to that point.
I remember WEC we did last year. This time last year, I think it was our last WEC. I was with Tom Bryant and Ryan Gill at this track, and Tom had muted himself because he was talking to his brother. I was in my chill zone, and Ryan Gill was driving with a drive-through, and it was the third lap where he needed to do the drive-through. Goes past the pit entry and decides to drive over the start-finish line, and I didn't say it very loudly, but I said, Ryan pit, and yeah, he didn't pit, and then we got disqualified from a 6-hour race.
Well, it was going so well for Wheelie Slow Racing up until this point. Peter Dominicus has received a drive-through penalty for track limits violations. The third place driver in silver in the championship and on the racetrack has now got themselves a drive-through penalty, and now the fifth car, you have to ask yourself, how many more do you think we'll see today? How many more drivers will fall victim to it? And if you've got them this early, like 4 drivers have done, are you at risk for a second one? I can only imagine yes.
We should have spoke about this before in the formation, Jesse, of how many people would have got drive through. I didn't realize.
Sure.
I just didn't think this would have been one of the problems. I thought it would have been more of trying to keep hold of the cars, but everyone at the minute seems okay. So very, uh, very odd indeed. But it's how it goes on a very wet track. But yeah, if it's like Ryan Gill just showed us how easy it is just to forget to do a drive-through penalty and getting DQ'd from a race. But that was only 2 hours into the race, Jesse, over 6 hours. So it was it was pretty annoying. And also it was only Ryan's only race he did with us in that team because he got very busy. So it was very unfortunate. But at the same time, you look back at it and you think, ah, that's pretty funny.
We've got a comedian in chat. It's Dinak saying there's going to be 69 DTs. And while that would not be very nice to the drivers, I don't think we're going to see quite that many. Nice try, though. Ash using one of the emotes that you get for being a channel member. Drive-through is one of those. I'm going to be adding some. I've said this before. I'm just going to reiterate this. If you're thinking about being a channel member, I am going to add some. That is my duty to make sure that there's emojis, icons, and stuff like that. And we'll be adding some, especially over this winter break. Tidying up a little bit, some of them as well. Could possibly be an uwu emote in there just for the heck of it. It's going to be a lot of insider memes here for RCI as well. The original idea, by the way, from all the way back in 2020 was that we would put the penalty markers in the chat so that people that were channel members could weigh in on incidents, how they feel they reckon it might shake out. And I have no intention to remove that functionality. My only intention, of course, is to add some for other things. Martin DeBont into the pit lane. They will be the first car into the pit lane during the pit cycle. Now that it's officially open, you only have 10 minutes, of course. DeBont not wasting any time with other cars in their class having a drive-through penalty. Could be an advantageous stop. John Razor, who's not with us on the track but is with us in the chat, nursing a hurt shoulder. We hope you get better. We hope you feel... I know how hard that is with a busted up shoulder. It really does ruin your driving ability. So we hope you have a speedy recovery there. But Eraser reckons they can still be top 2 or 3 in the championship. And that's the spirit. That's what I like to hear.
Dominicus in the 31, they had, well, this is, I'll get my words out. It's turning into night hour, Jesse. I just can't get my words out. Number 31 still has, it only has this lap to do for their drive-through. If they don't do it, then they are going to be retiring that car. But they should be coming in. Kevin Boss should be shouting because he knows what can happen. But just have to wait and see. They've got to do a drive-through. They're not going to come back around and then do their pit stop. You cannot obviously serve the drive-through and do a pit stop at the same time. But we just have to wait and see what happens. He's going... Oh no, he's coming into the pit lane. Oh, I thought he wasn't coming into pit lane, and Jesse, I got a little bit worried for them, but they are coming down the pit lane to serve that drive-through penalty.
Yeah, they'll serve the drive-through penalty. They may turn a couple more laps. They'll have to come back in, and they will take their pit stop. Zhao Manso down the pit lane to the attention of their team. No drive-through there, just routine stop for Zhao, who started in P2 in their class and is now in P4. A couple of unfortunate accidents have befallen Zhao in that team. But again, with a penalty from Wheelie Slow, it's anybody's game now for the final step of the podium, you'd have to say. And we will see how that all shakes out. Well, it's been one of those. Oh, That was it. Oh, was that letting the leaders through? I think that's what that was from Peter Varga there. That looked quite strange, but I think that was just letting, they were being blue flagged anyway.
Andrew says, seems like Tedbers needs a coffee. I've just had my coffee.
No. This is a chill stream. That's what's going on here. I explained in the intro. Peter Varga's going to absolutely lose the race car
Keep going,
here.
keep doing it. That's it. Keep going.
There it is.
Oh, they almost had it.
Didn't have the wheel pointed the right way there, but
7 out of 10.
I'm gonna give them a 6.5. They didn't stick the landing.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think it's 6.5. You clean up the technique a little bit. That's an easy 8.
Yeah. They got it back round facing in the right direction. That would have gone for an 8. But they're very unfortunate. It's just so slippy on this track, and it's not easing up, and it won't ease up anytime soon. Wind is at 0. Wind is pretty good indicator in ACC about what the clouds are doing. If it's pretty fast, like 3 kilometers, it doesn't seem fast, but it's fast in this game. You will sort of like expect the clouds to be moving and maybe the rain to change, either to increase or decrease as they go for another drift. They are all over the place with this car.
That car.
Oh, they've just done their pit stop, haven't they? So it will probably be they're back in again. Dry tires.
I was gonna say, I'm almost certain Varga has gone out on dry tires. You can tell by the bands on the side of them. If there's a yellow band on it, that's the Pirelli logos. That indicates a dry tire. If there is a black sidewall, that indicates a wet weather tire. And also from this perspective, you can almost make out the grooves in the tire as well. And that has happened to a couple of drivers in these GT4 champs as of late. It happened on Monday as well. And it's happened here today. It's easy to forget to configure your pit stop because it will default to dry. And that is exactly what's happened here today for Peter. He's not a Hunger Games character. Peter Varga. My apologies. And it's happened again as now the cast and crew are now doing Hunger Games references now. Thanks to me. I super happy I flubbed that one. All due apologies to Varga for that. Deja vu in chat. Yeah, I absolutely. If you watch the Monday broadcast, you will have seen exactly that from a few weeks ago. And I believe it happened in Night Owl this season as well. Somebody went out on dry tires accidentally as well. It's one of those things. You're so focused on the race, and you assume it's all going fine because the green box illuminates, tells you that the pit stop's valid, but it doesn't tell you if it's the wise decision. It just tells you if it's legal, the pit stop, and it would have done on that occasion. And the tire's very much the culprit. A Zero Goat is going to go around one more lap here at least, as Joe Dauber has brought the 777 for Rebound Racing down the pit lane. Trying the undercut here is Joe Dauber.
Sure is. Number 20 is spun around after the long back straight. I would say that the back straight is on the middle of the track. But yeah, they are white flagged at the minute. They have been spin a few times.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me they're on dry tires as well. No,
oh, no.
Oh my goodness. The Duke boys are at it again. Yeah, wonder what Boss Hogg's cooking up this time in Hazard County. I'm making an outdated reference that nobody understands. That's not the point. The point is, he went big style over the Dorito curb.
Sure did, and getting onto that paint is the worst thing you can do. You can see how shiny it is compared to the track. It's just so slippery there. The thing that you don't want to brake on, and same with the curves, you just don't want to touch them when braking, is it'll just send you around pretty easily. And yeah, very unfortunate. Coming into pit lane to do their pit stop. They are one of the 3 cars that still need to do. Chipston in the 60 and Goat in the 765 still need to come down pit lane before this pit window closes with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left on the timer.
I think this is the plan for Team Sovalu. Just go as long as possible. Clearly they have the fuel to do this, so we have seen that go awry before, being 1 lap shy. Not the case today, and looking like they're still going to execute the strategy. They are not going to bite on what Joe Dauber's doing. John Eraser saying that the undercut can work here, you know, in the wet weather. I'm inclined to believe him, and we'll see if indeed that gains them anything. Goat and Shipston, the top two, have yet to do their mandatory pit stop, and here is Goat into the pit lane. You would only expect Sinek Kalmari to get in that car. Obviously Tom Shipston's going to be in this time as well. Doesn't really have much of a choice here, with the pit window timer drawing to a close.
And he does come in. It's a weird angle of the pit lane. It's
so
quite
easy to hit that wall.
Oh yeah, it sure is, especially in the wet. Well, everyone is going to complete their mandatory pit stops, and there'll be no more pit stops unless you get the drive-through penalty. But I'm waiting to see another one, just because look at that. Joe is on edge. He is trying to get as much time as he can on the undercut to try and gain time back on first place. He's only got 2 to 3 seconds behind, but you just have to wait and see as Calamari is in the car and are leaving. Have left the pit box, not leaving the pit lane as yet, and they have now left and full speed. So there's Joe Dolber, not even halfway up the pit lane. As well, there you go. Redford has got a drive-through penalty.
Oh no!
So I called it.
Number 5, or is that number 6? That might actually. That's number 6. It is.
So very unfortunate. He will have to come down within 3 laps, unless he does what the 20 did and get a stop and go for cutting another corner before 7, the drive-through. But just have to wait and see. Just have to see if any of these top drivers are in the same boat. Obviously, we've heard drivers before in other races where they've been stuck on 3 track limit warnings. Since like 10 minutes into the race, so you never know what these drivers are at the minute. They could be stuck on 2, or they could have 1, or maybe they've gotten 0 and just got a good car for themselves.
Kalmari installed in the Racing Team Solvaloo car. They've led every lap of this race thus far. Joe Dauber stalking 2 seconds or so behind. Could this be another upset? Mike Redford coming down to pit lane, serving their drive-through penalty. It is not the sort of thing you want to have to do. It is the most frustrating part of your job as a driver, I can assure you that. The long, slow, frustrating trip down pit lane. You don't want to do it when it's mandatory, let alone in this. Romaniuk,
Yep.
in the 229, has got a drive-through penalty of their own. Number 7, ladies and gentlemen.
Another one.
Thank you, DJ Khaled. Appreciate that.
DJ
When did you show up?
Just now.
Hey, real talk. I'm talking about DJ Khaled for a second. Real talk. What is up with him in these videos where he's just screaming, "Bring out the lobster" over and over? What is
that?
Going
What he
on?
does?
Bring out the lobster. Bring out what is it? Like they put it in front of him. They put it in front of him.
Food.
I don't know, maybe, but they put it in front of him, and he keeps yelling, "Bring out the lobster!" What's happening?
I don't know, Jesse. I can't answer that one for you, I'm afraid.
Welcome to Wednesdays. I promised you it was going to be a weird one, and I think we've delivered on that promise. Been an interesting race, to be fair. We had 12 cars start the race, and it has not been boring. I can assure you that, and I don't think we're done here either, as Adam Romaniuk will bring the Porcelain Racing 229 to pit lane. That's huge as far as the championship is concerned. Will Withel get there? Will Withel be able to beat them in this race? I don't know. Because keep in mind, it's class points that matter, not overall. But even still, third or worse does serious damage for Porcelain in the championship as the championship leader. The best case scenario for Racing Team Solvalou is they win the race, they get all the bonus points, which is they are on for right now. And Porcelain Racing takes third or worse, and that will close up the gap considerably in the championship.
Yes, I cannot remember what the championship. Let me have a quick look to see how close it is, because I do like looking at the standings and the Porcelain with the
It's 24
points.
points, the gap right now, but that's not factoring in where the drop round would fall after this race. But the long and short of it is, if it were to finish like this, which again, we're a long way from the checkered flag here, folks, 31 minutes, in fact. If it were to finish like this, it would close it right up. But we still got to see what Rebound Racing has to say about this. The 777 looming large.
Well, just had a look, Jesse. The 765 racing team, Sovalu, is that how you say it? They have got fastest lap and pole position points, so that is 5 points. They're only 19 points behind at the moment if you just count those points towards the standing. And obviously they're on for, I'm probably going to curse this, they're on for a win at the moment. 30 minutes left of this 80-minute race.
All right.
I like to...
Team Solvalou, if you're looking for somebody to blame in case it all goes a bit pear-shaped today, that is Ted Edwards, who lives at 123 Ted Drive. That's off of Sindit Street. And
it is.
Ted drives a purple Porsche. You can find it in the driveway.
That's me. But yeah, they've got points. It'd be nice if they get the win, obviously, for them. Obviously not 229, who just want to try and get the points. You know, they can't get they can try and get the fastest lap, but at the minute it's a 2 minute 23.915, and the 229 have only done a 2 minute. I'm saying this wrong. 2 minute 26. That's 2.1 seconds diff in best lap, the fastest lap. So that's pretty big. And there's not really anyone else really near it. I think Joe Dolber's done a 2 minute 24.6. So that's 7 tenths off, which is the only nearest car with the next fastest lap. So laps are not that close to the front runners.
No, these front two have definitely separated themselves, and you can just about see that was all that was in it down the long back straight. I know it's a long straight, but they were quite close. 1.9 seconds the gap, first to second. We'll keep an eye on that to see how much that changes and if any progress is made. Either way, right now, a little bit of a stalemate between the two of them, hovering around 2 seconds, Kalmari to Dauber. Shipston looks to have it all under control in the silver class in front of Watts. Jao Manso back up to third. What a wild race the RPMS car has had thus far, but it's trending in the correct direction for them in third place. The penalty and the issues for Wheelie Slow Racing have demoted them down to fourth place for the time being. Kevin Boss behind the wheel of that car now. And as far as they're concerned, they're in fourth place in the class, and they're in amongst cars that they're not racing. No man's land, if you will, for the 31 right now. You could say the same about RPMS's Zhao Manso as well, but still 28 minutes, 27 and a half to go. A long way, and we've seen 7 drive-through penalties for track limits tonight. There's no reason to believe we won't have more.
Well, I would just like to give a shout out to one of our partners, AK Esports. They're a leader in esports management and competitions around the world. You've probably seen the name around quite a bit. And if you haven't, then I don't know where you've been. You've been under a rock. But you can find out more by looking at going to akesports.it. But yeah, we wouldn't be able to do that, do these races without them. You know, we've got 11 cars. We did have 12. These guys wouldn't be able to drive in tonight's race without them. Really, they help us with our servers. They've helped out a lot of people with the servers as well. So it's we're very fortunate to have them on with us as a partner. You know, we wouldn't have the World Tour, which is such a big thing um, this time of the year. But obviously, we've had it earlier on. Before, obviously, we had the 6 hours esports series at the beginning of the year, and we just won't be able to do any of the racing we do here on ACC without them. So we do appreciate what they do to help us here at RCI.
Certainly so. The 20 has an additional drive-through penalty, and I believe that is number 8 on the day. Not for them, obviously. This is the 3rd penalty for the number 20 today. Roger Corsa absolutely racking them up, struggling to figure out this particular racetrack and its boundaries. That is another drive-through penalty. Number 8. For those keeping track at home, that is 8 that we know of. I'm sure somebody will watch the stream back and be like, well, they've completely missed this one. And you may be right. But
That looked like another one as well.
Oh, that was so close. It hasn't turned into a stop and go yet. I think they've just about got away with that.
That's what they did last time, Jesse, through in Sector 3. And they went wide. It was the double right, the short double right-hander after the left-hand. You got after the straight, you got the left-hander, as you can see on the track map, and then there was a double right-hander, and that's it was in between there is where they got them, and they got a stop and go 30 for that.
Very unfortunate, and again, we don't give out Spirit of the Race awards here, but if we did, you'd probably have to give it to Marco. Keeping going, repping the Squadra Corsa name, and not giving up. And let that be a lesson to you youngins out there. You don't learn anything if you give up. And they're learning the lesson the hard way today. I can guarantee you that. But this won't be a race that they will think about too much. It won't live long in the memory, that's for sure. But they're going around, and they've continued to try and not let this track get the absolute best of them. It's so easy, by the way, to get in an incident or to have a drive-through penalty and just stop. And some days, I would argue that probably is the more prudent choice. Your mental health and your fatigue, your personal fatigue, is not worth it for one race, and you got to know what your limits are. But all credit to Marco for continuing despite the many setbacks that have happened so far today.
Well, 23 minutes 40 seconds left of the race, and there are still people close to each other. Dolber's still trying to get back those 3 seconds on Calamari. We have Romanuk trying to get past gain more time on Manso, who's in silver. No points there, but still a position that you want to take as being the pro driver. But yeah, it's sort of chilled out a little bit towards this second part of the race, Jesse. It's one of those. It's got to try and keep your consistency up after the pit stop, and especially if you're a solo driver. But if you're doing it as a team, then you got to try and match or improve on your first driver's pace and just try and keep it there. And it can get quite difficult, especially if you maybe not had as much drive time as the driver for the race today, or just not really confident with the car and track.
Yeah, for sure. Vanderwood says, Marco, no. It's another one, obviously, and that's unfortunate for them. Eraser's disappointed by Joe Dahlberg's progress, but notes that a drive-through can come at any time, and they can. They absolutely can. We're not wishing for it here. I never want to see. And here's the thing about a commentator. Here's what we want to see: a good race. We want a good race because commentating a good race is just as good in our minds as being in the race, because we remember that as long as the drivers do. If it's a really good race, you remember that. We'll remember that as well. Nobody wants a boring race where nobody passes anybody. It's surprising F1's so popular. But my point is what I would like is Dauber to get close and make Kalmari have to drive the cars. I think Kalmari's doing a pretty darn good job, Dinek is, of not overdriving the car, staying in the lanes. But again, you don't want anybody to get a drive through. You want a close race. I don't want to see this settled by a penalty. That would be a bit cheap. And they've ran such a good race thus far, you have to say. Top two. They've been back and forth. And time will tell what final 21 minutes have to say. But right now it's going out in the favor of Dinek Kalmari. And that is exactly what Racing Team Sovalu want to hear. Just hoping, I guess they're just hoping that we don't jinx it. Zero's going to come in here and belt one of us eventually. Stop talking about us.
Well, the number 20 has completed the drive-through penalty. Hopefully don't get any more, as Alexander van der Waal, who was in this championship in the Maserati, but has signed out, unfortunately. They say Marco no in all caps. Yeah, it's very... It's one of...
Ted, have we gotten to that point in our relationship?
What?
Are we just not listening to each other? Are we talking at the dinner table but we're not hearing each other?
Did I just repeat what you just said?
Listen, I try, all right? I try for you, all right? I put a hot commentary on the table, all right? And I make an effort. And all I'm saying is just, we're having a couple squabble at this point. What's going on in this chat right now?
Yep.
Commentary went from a podcast to ASMR. We relived the 90s, and now you and I are having a domestic. Isn't that weird?
Jesse is telling me off. I'm used to that.
Wait, are you?
Yeah. Tell me off all the time.
You got confusing me with Daly.
You both tell me off quite a bit, but...
Oh, I guess you do listen more than I think. Vanderwooda saying he's the Marco fan club represent. Alexander doing it. We got some ooh-woos in chat. I don't know what's going on. Chat is losing it. I'm losing it. We're all losing it. 19 minutes left to go. We do apologize if this is a very strange stream. I've said that before. I'll say it again. We do apologize. I'm super happy that Kevin Boss decided to let us stream today. He could have said no. We'd have missed this. Chat would have missed this insane back and forth that we got going on here. Can we see how many track cuts the 765 has? Not really, unless Goat or Kalmari streaming, then somebody could go and look at their stream and they could tell. But beyond that, we can't physically tell what it is, because that sort of information doesn't pop up on the dash. We can't spy on them and tell. Though we are trying. Currently, Ash Bibby's trying to see anything on the dash, but unfortunately, that doesn't display any of that information. You'd have to actually see their HUD, which we don't have access to, of course. But, so many ooh-woos coming out of the chat. Ted, let me hear an ooh-woo.
Oh, I knew this was gonna happen.
It's the new thing, man. Let me hear it.
And I was never gonna do an ooh-woo on stream. You really want me to do an ooh-woo?
I'm not. Look, I don't want you to feel pressured to. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Daly doesn't want you to do it.
Now, I don't want to get told off by Daly. So, no, Ash.
No.
I'm not doing it, Ash.
Ash trying to goad him into doing it.
No one can hear it.
Chat's look at this chat right now, just absolutely losing their mind. That hurt my throat, but I'm gonna give you a new woo. Uwu. That's the Jesse Lee equivalent of an uwu. Come back over the weekend, where potentially I won't have a sore throat, and I'll do that a little bit more enthusiastically. By the way, next broadcast here on the channel scheduled for Saturday, the 6 hours of Watkins Glen, the finale of the 2023 RCI World Tour, where we'll likely be a little bit more composed. We'll probably talk about Pogs again. I'll even mention Stretch Armstrong. I've got a fun Stretch Armstrong story about back in day when I tore mine apart. Maybe I'll tell that during the middle of that race. Who knows? But 6 hours of Watkins Glen. Cornstarch, by the way, is what is inside a Stretch Armstrong. At least it was in '98. But that's not spoilers, Ash. That's not where I'm going with that story. It's how I destroyed him is the story. Either way, the 6 hours of Watkins Glen. If you're not currently subscribed, we do promise this isn't normally what our streams sound like. Or if you're interested in this, then this is exactly what the streams sound like. I'm here to please. That is literally my only job. So, subscribe, like, and also make sure you hit the bell on the channel so that you're notified whenever we have streams come up. We will be live in full for the 6 hours this weekend. It's going to be absolutely epic. Championships on the line. It's a fantastic racetrack. I mean, what more could you ask for, really?
Yeah, well, we do have some more championships. While we still have 15 minutes left of the race, and Dol, we're still trying to catch up. 5 seconds back he is from Palmari. It's got bigger and bigger as time goes on, but we have some more races coming up. Tomorrow we have an iRacing one-off Sebring Prototype Challenge. It is LMP3s and LMP2s around Sebring. Going to be some good fun. We've got 13 signups so far. We've got a few people in the LMP3 and quite a few in the LMP2. So if you fancy joining us for some downforce shenanigans, then that is something for you. You can find all the information on our website at racerci.com and on our Discord. Next Thursday we've got Donington F3 around, obviously, Donington in the Formula 3 cars. They are pretty good fun, and it's a track we all know, obviously, from ACC as well. We still have Night Owl. Next week is the next round, the final round at Suzuka. Come and join us racing. You can do mid-season side-up and do your pre-queue, which won't take you too long. And you can join us for one last race. It is season 16 of Saturday Night Owl, presented by Ash Bibby. And obviously next week is the Wednesday season 6 final. And yeah, World Tour this weekend final. We've not got many races left, Jesse. It's getting to that time of year where we start slowing down and start to chill out and get ready for the holiday break.
Yeah, of course, we've got some one-off stuff coming up. Obviously, this coming Monday, Tim Ireland's doing a little investigative racing for the Automobilista 2 simulator. And I'm telling you, I know a lot of people that don't particularly like that sim, but I would reckon you haven't tried it in the past 2 updates. Folks, I'm telling you, it is almost unrecognizable, and that is such a positive compliment for me. It is so different than what it was a year or so ago. You owe it to yourself. If you've bought it and you have it uninstalled or you haven't played it in a long time, please install it, drive any other base content. It does feel and drive completely different. The AI has been overhauled in the last update, some more as well. It is very, very different, and some people have tried it and they still don't like it, and hey, if that's you, that's completely fine. But I would love to have some AMS2 races. So much versatility with that sim, and we've got a little bit of a test race coming up on Monday. racerci.com, check that out. iRacing one-offs going on. We just concluded the Road Racing Championship a week or so ago. A bunch of one-offs. There'll be a one-off tomorrow, in fact. The prototype challenge race, You can check out that on the website, racerci.com, and the Discord as well. Still a lot
Another
going on.
one. Oh,
Just not a lot of championship races. It's a double DT.
a lot of
One for
a lot of
Redford,
drive-throughs though.
one for Varga. I think that's number 9 and 10, folks at home.
Think so. I saw Varga's one, then looked back up, and there was one for Redford. So that's Redford's second one and Varga's second one, I think. If I'm not wrong.
Redford's definitely their second one. I think you're correct on that.
Not sure on the 508 had to do another pit stop because they pitted onto dry tires, so that's re-pit for wets. But
this is insane. I know this isn't technically an hour race, but in a weekly series, of which our races usually consist of 60-minute races, this is the most drive-throughs we've had in just about 2 years. The pro, he's going to miss it. He's going to hit the wall. The NS racing car of Mike Redford has missed the pit entry and has split head-on into the pit-in wall. That's a barrier of sorts, of course, a movable one, and it's there for a reason, but he has just locked it up and understeered head-on into the barrier, and that is pretty much the allegory of how this race has gone for so many the NS racing car, Mike Redford behind the wheel, just trying to serve the DT, trying to get it home for the day in the final 10 minutes. He's not even going to stop or repair it. It doesn't matter. He's just going to try and limp the car home in 5th place in class. But you want to know why some people are not particular fans of this racetrack? Well, let's just say COTA has made an enemy of Mike Redford today.
Sure has, and we've seen him all day locking through the braking zones and going deep into a corner. And we saw him earlier on hit. I think it was Manso. He hit the 508 BMW, and then that hit Manso into this corner, the first corner, due to the brakes not working. And I've said this about the last race at Valencia when I was driving and just had no brakes at the final turn, and I had to refloor the throttle back down to try and get in between two cars so I didn't hit anyone and ruin anyone else's race. And just throughout the whole race of Valencia, I didn't have any brakes when the tyres on the right side got too hot. So I don't know what the problem is with Redford. I don't know if he's just braking late and it's not working, but the Porsche always felt like it had sloppy brakes, like how the Audi used to, what Kevin Boss is driving right now, and that used to feel like you had milk bottle tops for brake pads. But it's not too bad from what I've heard. Not many people drive it. Obviously, there's not many cars, not many Audis here. There's only the one, but we had a lot of Porsches. We had 5 at one point. There's only 3 in this race. I think 1 just signed out for today's race, and obviously me and Daly were driving the other 2. But yeah, it just doesn't feel nice now. Just don't know, Jesse. I don't think they've done a brake update, but that would be very weird if they did and without us knowing. But yeah, it's just obviously showing us that even for Mike Redford, someone who's been racing in ACC and RCI for a very long time, is struggling with the car today.
Well, Denak Kalmari has done such a fantastic job today. Put the car on pole, handed it over to Goat, who maintained the gap. Kalmari back in the car for the second part of the stint. And for Racing Team Solvalu, they have done nothing but extend that gap. It was under 3 seconds at one point when Denak got in the car. It's 7.5 seconds. No threat from behind. Surely the message over the pit wall for Solvalu is just get us to the checkered flag. It has been a complete day, and a day that has seen them solidify themselves as a championship threat, and just in time as well. Next week, the finale, Kyalami I have no reason to believe we won't be live for the finale. That would be the worst thing in the world if we covered the entire season but not the finale with a championship on the line. So I'll go ahead and give you the guarantee. I've kept you on the maybe list all season long, but allow me to not do that this one time. Come hell or high water, we'll bring you the race next week, the finale. And trust me, you're going to want to see how this all ends. It has been an epic battle of proportions by all the competitors. In the end, in pro, it has come down to 2 different teams. And it's going to be close, folks, between Solvalou and Porcelain Racing. Porcelain Racing running 4th right now. Richard Withel in the Withel's Wizards car. They have gotten into 3rd place in that class in further demoted Porcelain. And what that's actually effectively done for the Pro Championship, it's not completely even, but it might as well be. It's going to be that close in the finale, according to my math. Now, that's Jesse Lee math, folks. Don't take that to the bank. But I can't imagine I'm too far off. It's going to be quite close in the championship between Solvalou and Porcelain. So we will be bringing you that next week. The epic conclusion. And I haven't said it all day, so I'll say it now in the final 5 minutes in case you're playing RCI Bingo at home. Zhao Manso and the RPMS and anime car. Haven't said that today. I just, I want to give somebody a free. And anime should be the middle square. I think if we had a bingo card, it should be the middle bit. But they're trying to make up a position on Romania because Adam's cars just seem to fallen off a little bit here in the second half. This doesn't matter as far as in class position, of course, between these two, but I reckon they'll race it out anyway, because it'll likely be the only or the final battle that they have in today's race. Saul Bubbins join us and talk about practicing for Suzuka, lamenting how tough of a circuit it is. You know it is, Bubbins. It really is. But love to see the progress. Love to have you back on the racetrack and see you tackle that thing. Suzuka, very daunting. Some people, not me, as Romania goes off the track in turn 1, some people call it the Asian Nürburgring.
I will say I've never heard that, Gypsy.
I've heard that referred to a lot of places, and I hate that analogy, that connotation. But I've heard that about Circuit of the Americas before, that it was sort of like an American Nürburgring. I completely disagree with that. What are they on? It's not. It doesn't take place in a wood. There's no hill or mountain per se. How is it the American Nürburgring? I totally disagree. Heard that about Road America as well. People refer to Road America as the American Nürburgring, and I can kind of see that. But even still, it's not 126 corners, is it? I mean, come on. Let's keep it real. There's only one Nürburgring.
You got to remember all those corners. You got to remember your braking, your accelerating. Then you got to go around lap traffic. It's a good track though. Well, 3 minutes and 20 seconds left of the race. Will we see any more drive-throughs? I hope we don't, because that will be horrible for any driver on this track, no matter where you are in position. But Dolbert is dropping off very, very slowly still. 9.6 seconds to Kalmari, who's leading the race. And I'm not sure what happened to Dolbert. He was pretty okay in the first stint of his before he did the pit stop, and obviously he pitted early. So is it the tyres going off, which I could sort of understand, but would be quite surprising that he's going to drop off that much to cause him almost 10 seconds behind at the end of the race. But yeah, there you go, 10.1 seconds behind now after that time in line. So it is very unfortunate, but he most likely will hold this second place today. Shipston in first with silver, followed by Tom Watts, who's almost 10 seconds behind them as well. So it's a little bit, a little bit of a mirror effect between the pro and the silver class, and obviously you got Whittle 26.9 seconds behind Tom Watts, and then you got Manso 5 seconds behind Whittle. So the two third places in their categories are pretty far behind the second places, but still in a podium position, still getting a bunch of points.
I've just read something Wachel said earlier on. We were looking at the RPMS car, and they said, "Don't you mean the Uwu car?" In this instance, no, because that's a dark magician on that car. I don't think that's technically an Uwu, but what was that? Ash, say that again in my ear. The dark magician girl. Okay, maybe it is an Uwu car. Maybe you're right. In that case, I believe I stand corrected there. Man, Daly out here just joined the commentary team already. Daly, good lord. A lot of DTs out there. Where can somebody go to maybe get a little bit of coaching to keep from doing that? Well, luckily there is a place to go, and they can also help you drive as good in the wet. Become a rainmaster like Dinak Kalmari. Driver 61 driver coaching is what you need. Whether you're looking for some pointers to get more consistent or you're looking to turn pro, Driver 61 can help you out with every facet of your sim racing, from one-on-one driver coaching to full-on racing schools. They have you covered over at Driver 61. You can schedule your one-on-ones at any time or sign up for the racing schools that they have on offer. Folks, honestly, it's really worth it. I've raced with some folks that have had some coaching, and I know what they were like prior, and when they came back to me and I raced with them, there was a remarkable difference in their consistency, their confidence, and their ability. Dinek has just driven an amazing race, though, in the wet, sat on the pole, and some drivers are just uniquely talented for wet weather racing, rainmasters we call them. Maybe Kalmari is one of those, but maybe you're looking to keep up with Dinak in the future. Get you some of that driver coaching from Driver 61. The link is in the description, and daily the check's in the mail.
The number 20 has got their fourth drive-through.
11.
And there goes Tom Watts with the drive-through as well in
Number
second
12.
place. So will Tom Watts take the 30-second penalty that they will receive?
I don't
obviously,
know.
I think both these drivers that got drive-throughs will just take the penalty rather than come through pit lane. But Dolber takes second place. Kalmari takes first place. Dolber is second. Shipston will take first in the silver class. He's only got a few more corners to go. There's Tom Watts in the background with the penalty. And Kevin Boss comes across the line in fourth in the silver class.
I just got to say, I've got to give it to the entire racing team, Solvaloo team. They have just come out and dominated. Dinek did an excellent job in qualifying as their goat was steady off the start and kept them all behind them. Kalmari got back in the car and ended up widening the gap 9 seconds in that second half of the race. Just an excellent day from racing team Solvaloo. A deserved win, I think you have to say, and they're looking good for a championship contention round, a deciding round in 1 week's time. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. You're not going to want to miss it. I'm going to guarantee we're live come hell or high water. We're going to show you the finale now. We have to, because it's going to be an epic face-off between them and Team Porcelain Racing, who just did not have the day that they would have preferred to have. Joe Dauber in second, as you said. Richard Whittle for Whittle's Wizards is going to come across the line and podium a Porsche, something we didn't think we were going to see today. And early on, certainly didn't look likely, but he's done it. Tom Shipston's won it in silver over Tom Watts. It's the Tom and Tom show in the to not finish first or second. Another win, a third win for Ground Zero Racing. Tom Watts doing their level best here. And that is another podium for them. I believe that is their second podium. Tom Watts has got them. Second in a row, in fact, with, of course, Zhao Mansa in third. And because they finished first and third in the championship Ground Zero and RPMS, that sets up a championship battle in silver as well between Shipston and Manso. Manso climbing back from fifth all the way back to third in this race has preserved the championship in silver. They came in 1 point apart. They're likely going to end up maybe about 15 or so points apart. That's probably very rough math, but you get the picture. It's all to play for in both classes for the championship wins. Ted, what more could you ask for?
Well, we like to see close fights in the finals, don't we, Jesse? Because it always puts, it always makes you think who's going to come out on top, and it always puts an edge on the driver, always makes them a little bit more sweaty before the race starts. And yeah, it's nice to see. Obviously, we've seen it quite a few times this year in RCI, and it's something you just don't want to miss. But I just saw there, even with Tom Watts' 30-second penalty, he still was 3/10 ahead of Whittle at the end there. So he keeps his fourth place overall, which is pretty nice. But yeah, it's a very good drive from everyone today. Even the guys at the back end of the field who have troubles with drive-throughs, and troubles with going onto the wet tyres, onto dry tyres, and then having to pit for wets again. But it's everyone basically stayed in the race and still kept driving, which is what we like to see here at RCI.
Well, I'm quite curious to see if Denek wants to do an interview, and Denek brings up a good point. It is Finnish Independence Day, and to all those that celebrate Finnish Independence Day, as a fellow Independence Day celebrator myself, I wish you the very best of celebrations on this day. And I would love to hear from Denek. Join the Ready for Interview channel. We'd love to hear from you. Folks, before you all pile out for the night, I just want to say, chat, you were off the charts today. You always bring it, but today was extra special. Thank you so very much. You kept us in it. You were entertaining us as much, probably more, to be honest, than we were entertaining you. Thank you so much. We love having you around. We love seeing an active chat, people that are passionate about racing, and it just makes it so much more fun. So thank you all very much. Chat, you're the star today, and the other star has to be Denak themselves, who has joined us in the box. What a complete day it was for Racing Team Silverloo, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we weren't that confident in the round. Like the McLaren is not that good in COTA, but it's just something about the rain. It just made us shine. McLaren really shine here, and I'm really proud for not just for myself, but for Azure. He really brought it home today as well.
Well, I gotta say, we're gonna try to get your teammate in here as well and get their perspective. It's been a long season with the two of you, of course. Today, it seemed like you just refused to lose today. I mean, you came out, qualified well. Azure got in the car. It may have been close at the start, but Azure just drove away from the pack. It just seemed like it was the most complete race. It's been back and forth all season. Today, it just looked like you refused to lose. This entire team refused to lose.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolute team effort there. Yeah.
We're joined by Azure Goat, by the way. That's the other voice here.
Yes, hello.
Well, Azure, your teammate put it on pole. You're tasked with the start of the race. What goes through your mind? Okay, I know I've been quick all season. I've just not got to get caught up in something here early on. What's that like for you sitting on the line, starting off? And then at what point do you exhale a little bit?
Well, the moment was making sure nobody got an opportunity to pass us at the start. I seen what Denak was doing in practice. I knew that he was faster than me this round. I knew as soon as he was in the car, things would be fine. All I needed to do was keep it ahead.
It's very much a team effort with you two, isn't it, really? I mean, one week one's faster than the next. It seems sort of conditional as well. Could be the track, whatever it may be, but a complete team is what I see here.
Well, it's nice to actually have a team, considering most people are solo. But
Yeah, I mean, we're happy to do this as a team. Yeah, we have both our benefits. We both have our strengths, and we really complement each other well here. Like, I'm pretty good in wet weather in mixed conditions, so this is where we shine. Just wish Imola would have been also been wet. That's where we would have really got another win.
Well, you're in the championship now. I mean, you've been in the championship all season, but now the ball's in your court. You've come out, you've got the maximum points today. You've put Team Porcelain on notice. It's a showdown in Kyalami next week. What are both of your thoughts?
well, you go
hopefully.
first.
I mean, yeah, we just hopefully going to be winning here. Like, as we want to be dramatic, that's going to be our main target, of course. And yeah, just going to aim to maximize the points in Kyalami as we did here in COTA. And yeah, just got to give it our best.
Yeah, with the exception of Valencia, we've been pretty consistent the whole series, which has been nice for us. It means that, we want to do the best we can in Kyalami. We're pretty confident. McLaren suits both of us pretty well. Just got to hope we get another good start like we did today, and then all it is keep it staying ahead.
And finally, obviously, you two race as a team, and I want to hear some shout-outs from both of you, fans, teammates, loved ones.
Well, we definitely have to give a shout-out to our race engineer, Sack of Sawdust. He sits with us every race.
There he is! There he is! He's in the chat! There he is!
Yep, that's him.
Continue.
Yeah, he's been an instrumental help for the entire race. And I also want to be giving a big shout out to Wushul, to Lunatic. They've both been there very encouraging in the chat, just cheering us on the entire race. And big shout out to just the entirety of Simifair. They're just a lovely community, and we just love every single one of them there.
Absolutely. Everybody in Simifair gives us their support, and we really appreciate it. They've been filling the chat with the woos and milk jokes. And I suppose I should also be giving a little shout out to my girlfriend, because she's always there helping
Let's
me
go
and all.
That's what I absolutely love to hear. Well, a complete day, and let me tell you, you both have some fantastic fans, and you have done every single one of them proud today with an outstanding performance. Good luck in the finale, but for right now, folks, your champions of the day, Azir Goat and Dinak, for Racing Team Solvalu. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can I quickly do the Lewis Hamilton and say we have the best fans here?
You may. Go ahead.
There we go. We have the best fans here.
We have the
Thank
best
you for all
angel
of you.
too.
It's been a great time.
Oh, my goodness. Fast on the racetrack, crowd pleasers as well. What a race it was, Ted. What an event it was today. 12 cars, but it really did feel like there was more of them out there. Some really good battles early on. Some strategy took over as well. And the ever-present threat of a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, sure was. It's a very difficult track, and it's just one that you sort of had to practice quite a bit to understand where the track limits are and what you should and shouldn't do, especially when we've seen some cars hit the sausage curb today, can throw the car off its line. And we've seen that a few times today, but it's very difficult. But it was a very good race, and it wasn't. I thought it was with the 12 cars, it wasn't going to be as entertaining as I thought, but actually it was pretty good, and it was still a good watch. And I think the people at home could agree with me on that one as well. But next week is round 6 and the final, and that's going to be very interesting.
It sure is. We're not going to leave you on a cliffhanger tonight. For those of you still with us, we're going to show you the points as they will line up for the finale in 1 week's time here on RCI TV. Here it is. Porcelain Racing hold the championship lead still, but it's incredibly narrow. 148 points for Porcelain, and Racing Team Solvalu has 143. So that is essentially a pole position or finishing in front of one another. That's as close as it gets, folks. Luna Rossa Racing in third on 109. They may have a fight with the 699 Racing Team. A racer will be back next week by the sounds of it. So they will be a fight for first and third in the championship, I would reckon. And in fifth place, G League with 98. NS Racing has 83. Whittles Wizards has 78. Rebound Racing 777 on 68. And Rebound Racing 96 on 50. We'll also show you the Silver Championship standings as well. And it is a little bit of a gap now for Ground Zero Racing. So actually, you know what? I said about 15 points. It's 14 points. I'll take that. That's Jesse Lee math for you there. Not particularly great, but I was in and around the area. Ground Zero with the championship lead, 160 points to their name. RPMS SimSport, the 222, piloted by Zhao Man, so 146. Dropping the Hammer Racing on 126 in third, 2 points in front of the Wheelie Slow Racing team. So that'll be a fight for third. And that will be a heads-up fight indeed. It's all tied up for fifth place. Team Monkey Racing and Squadra Corsa Giulia on 92 points apiece. RPMS SimSport number 44, the McFly team, on 41. And that's how your championship stacks up. A couple of podium fights, three podium fights that are going to come down to basically a head-to-head in the final week. And the championship in silver still up for grabs as well. All it's going to take is one of those cars to finish third while the other one wins, and that's the points difference pretty much right there. That's as close as it could ever be. Ted, I just want to thank you one final time for being with me today. Ash Bibby behind the cameras doing the hard work, and appreciate every single one of you for tuning in for today's broadcast. We'll be back next Wednesday to broadcast the series finale to see who takes home the bragging rights for the title. Our next broadcast here on RCI TV, of course, will be on Saturday, the World Tour finale, the 6 hours of Watkins Glen. I've been Jesse Lee, joined by Ted Edwards and Ash Bibby. You've all been wonderful. Until Saturday, take care of yourselves and have a good night.